What are the top 3 banks that are okay with giving up to $50,000 for a brand new LLC?
I think it's the most underrated bank out there right now. I think it's better than all the credit unions, and here's why.
All right, guys, if you're looking to get up to $50,000 and you got a brand new LLC, check this out. You most definitely can do it, and I got the right guy to give you guys that information, all right? So here's the deal. A lot of people think that you cannot do this, and I'm telling you, you most definitely can, and we're gonna make sure we get the information directly from the source. He doesn't have a lot of time, so I hope you guys got your notepads out, but here's the deal. He's about to drop these gems on us today. So again, Colin, are you with us today?
Yes, I am. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, brother. Man. Absolutely. Well, listen, once I saw that you've been helping so many people not just get approved for these types of loans, because a lot of people, they're not sure if this information is real, if it's legit, if they can trust certain people, or not even that part. They say, you know what, I know it's legit, but where do I start? And so again, that's why I most definitely want to, again, just thank you for taking out your time throughout your day to bring this information to the audience. So, but either way, I want to jump straight into it, Colin. What does the person have to do? What's the process, to getting up to $50,000 with a brand new LLC?
Yeah, it's real simple. The first thing is an LLC. You got to have a brand new LLC. A lot of people, they make a mistake. They try to apply as a sole proprietorship. And unfortunately, that's when you're going to apply just using your social security number, not using your business's EIN at all. And the problem you're going to run into is that banks are not going to take you seriously. They're not going to view you as a real business. Making an LLC can take 5 minutes online. You can do it for free other than your state fees with InkFile. And when you make your LLC, you look like a legitimate business to the banks. The next big mistake a lot of people make is that they think they need to have a business address, business phone number. They think they need to build business credit. The reality is that if you create a brand new LLC and you get your EIN, you can do both of those things in 5 minutes online for free. With an LLC and an EIN, all the last missing piece to getting funding is just having good personal credit. And the reality is, and the big mistake that a lot of people are being made, and it's because there's been a lot of rumors out there with this no personal guarantee business credit, is that the banks really just care about your personal credit profile, that you just have to get to a 680 plus personal score. You got to keep your utilization below 30%. You got to keep your report free of derogatories entirely. And you want to stay below about 3 inquiries in the last 6 months. Those are pretty much the underwriting guidelines, the most basic ones to get approved for a business credit card. And again, a lot of people, they're wasting time building business credit. They're getting net 30 account store cards. And the problem with building business credit is that most banks don't check your Paydex. They don't check your Equifax business. A very few banks do check your Experian business, but it's not required to get approved. I have 4 LLCs and I've been approved for business credit cards on all of them, and I've never had to build business credit, and it's because my personal credit was good. The caveat too is that no matter how much you build your business credit, it's not going to get you approved for credit cards, regardless of, if you have 12 trade lines reporting. And that's because for a few reasons, but the banks require a personal guarantee. It says it on every single bank website. Under Chase, American Express, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, PNC, Truist, it says you must personally guarantee these credit cards. The only way you can get a true no PG card is something called corporate credit. And it says this on their website too. And to qualify for corporate credit, you have to be making millions of dollars in revenue. So for most people, they're never going to obtain corporate credit. And most people, they're trying to run away from the PG because a lot of people are telling you, you got to keep your personal credit separate from your business. But the thing is, your business credit is separate from your personal. My Chase cards, Amex, none of them report to my personal. They just need me to sign to personally guarantee that in the event of a default that I'm going to be liable for it. The banks aren't giving out free money like a lot of people want you to believe. They need somebody to sign responsibility for it. Another reason too, a company could have 6 people in it. It could have me, it could have you. So they need one individual from that company to personally guarantee the card. And that person is going to have the card in their wallet. They're going to be responsible for it, right? So that's the biggest thing, is all you really need to have is your LLC EIN, and you have to optimize your personal credit profile, get it to 680 plus, keep the utilization low, get it derogatory free. From there, anybody with a brand new LLC can be approved for a business credit card.
Man, listen, Colin, hold up. We got to back that up. Because first off, not only do you sound confident that this is going to work, because obviously this is what you do, but you literally just gave people the play. You gave people the simple steps to follow to get these things in place. So real quick again, because man, I don't want people to miss this, right? I know some of you guys got to rewind. Go ahead and rewind if you got to. But again, so you said how many increase within a certain period of time? What are the quick qualification points again?
Yeah, the big things they're really looking for, they like to see a 680 plus credit score. Ideally, you want to be 730. Okay. And if you achieve 760, you're looking at the highest limits approved and the lowest interest rates. But the big things they're looking for is, the number one thing would be payment history. They want to see no derogatories. You can get away with having 1 or 2 collection accounts if they're older than 4 years and if they're like small medical debts below $1,000. If you have a serious delinquency, like a charge-off collection account with a major bank like Chase, Amex, etc., what do the banks think? The banks think, hey, this guy charged off Chase just a few years ago. What if he does that to us too? That's why a medical debt, something small, they can look past that. But generally, you want to be derogatory free, and you want to go through credit repair if you have any derogatories. Now, the next thing they're looking at is utilization. They want to see that your utilization on every revolving account is below 30%. We've seen a lot of people who have just one card above 50%, and you'll either be denied or you'll be approved for a very low limit, like $2,000. And it's because they want to see that you're not excessively using your balances. So you want to keep your cards below 30%. A big thing a lot of people don't know is that if your credit cards are maxed out, and let's say you are derogatory free, you can actually get a debt consolidation loan. You can get a personal loan from a bank you have a relationship with. We have a lot of my clients who do this. They get a $30K personal loan from Navy Federal, American Express, Discover, and they use that to consolidate or pay off all their cards. Well, this hides your utilization because your utilization only counts revolving credit lines. Well, a personal loan is not a revolving line. So by moving all your credit card debt over to a personal loan, you hide your utilization, which jumps your score back into the 700s. You save money on interest because credit cards are 30%, personal loans are 11 to 15%. You get out of debt sooner because if you make the minimum payment on a card, you're going to be in debt for at least 10 years. A personal loan has terms, 36 months. So now you're debt free in 3 years. So this is a great way anybody can transform their finances because you can drop your utilization, you can save money on interest, and now you can access 0% business funding. So utilization is the next big thing. And the last thing is inquiries, right? You got to keep your inquiries below 3 in the last 6 months because you're going to be seen as desperate for credit, because studies have actually shown those that have a lot of inquiries are more likely to file for bankruptcy. So they want to see less than 3 in the last 6 months, and that's per bureau. For example, let's say you had 20 inquiries on TransUnion, but your Experian, nobody pulled it. Well, you can seek out banks that only check your Experian, like Chase, like American Express, PNC, and then you can apply with those banks and they won't see the 20 inquiries on your TransUnion and you can still be approved. And so I had a client this morning that had a completely clean Equifax, but they had derogatories on their Experian TransUnion. So we'll freeze those 2 bureaus and we'll apply with lenders that only check their Equifax and they'll get approved.
Man, listen, at this point, people need to start paying for this video now because the amount of time that you are saving people, Colin, just by doing, clearly you do your research. And, you know, and we're going to talk about that now because now I got a lot more questions. But here's the thing. One, you obviously learn this stuff just by not only helping clients, but having conversations with a lot of these lending institutions, with some of these banks, Chase Bank, and the list goes on of banks that you've actually reached out to. Let's talk about this real quick. And I'm gonna swing back to something too. What are the top 3 banks that are okay with giving up to $50,000 for a brand new LLC?
The first one would have to be Chase. Chase Bank is, in my opinion, I think the brand new LLC. If you open your Chase business checking account, and you can actually apply for the Chase business cards with no checking account, but I wouldn't recommend it. Here's why. If you open the Chase business checking account, ideally with at least $5,000, because banks have something called a bank rating. They rate you off of how much funds you have in the account. And there's something called the low 5. And to achieve a low 5, you have to have $10,000 liquid funds in the checking account. The amount of funds you have in the checking account is going to influence how much they lend to you. So I'll give you an example. We have people who open the checking account with just $500, they apply, and maybe they'll get a $20K card. But we have people who open the checking account with $5,000 and they apply, and they can get $50,000 and upwards of $75,000. The reason why I say Chase is the most underrated is because even a brand new LLC you start today, you can go open the Chase business checking account and they can give you 2 0% for 12 months cards. The Chase Cash and the Chase Unlimited. They're 0% for 12 months, and they both come with a $750 cashback bonus if you spend $10K in the first 3 months. So if your business has expenses, you'll also get $750 per card. That's $1,500 in free cash. The reason why Chase is so powerful is because their cards actually go up to about $75,000 each. You can get them up to $100K per card if they see that you're maxing out the card and paying it off. But the highest typical approval I see is $75,000. And Chase has a max credit exposure of $150,000. So you can actually get 2 $75,000 0% for 12 months cards from them. So that's why I think they're really powerful. Another reason is they actually lend up to $250,000 on their business line of credit. It's typically 1 year tax return when you speak with the right banker. I have a level 3 business relationship manager who helps a lot of my clients, and he can get them up to $250K with just 1 year profit and loss from last year. Now, some bankers, we actually had a client of mine, Terrence, in California. He went and spoke with his local business relationship manager. And it's like we were talking about, so important to talk to your banker, ask him questions. And he asked him about the business line of credit in San Diego. And the banker actually offered him a $100,000 business line of credit from Chase with no documentation, right? So he was actually able to get 100K approval without having to provide tax returns, things like that. A lot of banks offer this for 50 to 100,000, and Chase does actually offer it. It depends if the branch you go to, some branches offer it, some don't, but it's up to 100K. So the reason why Chase is so powerful, because you can get typically upwards of 250,000 on a business line of credit and up to 150K in cards. So that's upwards of 400K in funding. The other two I would say, that do approve brand new businesses is American Express. I've seen a lot of clients with thinner credit profiles get approved for American Express. I would say it's one of the easiest cards to get approved for on the business side. Lower credit requirements, no relationship required. You can apply online, no checking account. So that one's cool. You can typically get 2 0% cards or up to 4 charge cards, kind of like one of your previous videos Star was talking about. You could get up to 4 cards with 1 inquiry. Yeah, you could get the 4 charge cards, or you could get 2 0% cards. They have something called the 1 in 5 rule. You could apply for 1 business card, such as Blue Cash, wait 5 days, and then you can apply for a second card like the Blue Plus. Those are both 0% for 12 months. And they typically approve up to 35K per card. So you have 70K and 0% funding potential from Amex. The last one I would say is Bank of America. Okay. I personally am not too big of a fan of Bank of America. The only reason I would include it in the mix is because just like Chase, they could give you 2 0% cards and even on a brand new business. But sometimes they do ask for 3 months of bank statements, even for a business credit card, which is pretty rare because 95% of cards are stated income. 95% of business credit cards will never ask you for bank statements, financial statements, tax returns, or anything like that. But it's newbie friendly. A brand new LLC can open the Bank of America business checking account and apply for both of their cards. That's why I would include it in the mix as well.
Wow. Listen, guys, I told you, this is the man who has all of the answers as far as helping you all understand just how easy it is, right, to get business funding, having a brand new LLC, which means you don't have any income, right? And so again, and don't get me wrong, there's obviously ways like he mentioned that you can do it, but guys, that's a longer way to do it. Now, if you want to go that route, you most definitely can. If you have these things in place, you meet those qualifications, these are the banks that Colin says is most definitely going to work with you as well too. And then, of course, first off, I most definitely got to say we greatly appreciate you for your service and your continued service, as of course you're in the military and you're a Marine, correct? Is that former or
Yes.
is that current, or how does that work?
Veteran, yeah. So with the Marine Corps, they have a saying, once a Marine, always a Marine. So you'll see the news a lot say ex-Marine or former Marine, and we just like to say Marine Corps.
That's
veteran.
right. Awesome. Well, listen, man, we most definitely appreciate you for serving as well. And then let's swing back over, because I did have another question. Of course, man, first off, you've been dropping so many gems, so we thank you for your time. But there was another question I did have. And you mentioned earlier that you had, of course, you've talked to banks, you've interviewed banks. If you could put a number out there, how many banks do you think you've actually called just to learn about their products and how to explain this stuff?
I'd say at least 50, but more so probably like 75 to 100. Yeah. It depends if you're talking the same bank, like I've called PNC over 15 times, right? Or if you're talking separate individual banks. Well, Texas, that's where I live. There's 474 banks out here. Those are different companies, right? It's more than any other state in America. But generally what happens is when I have a client, we'll look at the best local lenders in the area, and I'll call the bank on their behalf. I'll speak with the vice president or business relationship manager, and I'll just let them know my client's situation. I'll say, hey, I've got a client. He does consulting for lawyers. He has a 3-year entity. They do about $50,000 a month, $600K per year. He's looking for a business line of credit for $75,000 to $100,000. Tell me what the application process would look like. And sometimes the banker will say, well, Colin, because he has a 3-year LLC and his credit is good and he makes good revenue, we typically don't verify financials up to 100K. It's going to be a stated income, quick 1-day application, and we'll submit it. And then my clients will message me back saying, hey, we got the $100,000 approval. Thanks so much. But generally, that's why I call so many banks, is when every time I get a new client and I onboard them, we'll call 3 to 5 banks in their area.
Wow, man, you know what I love about that is that you're hands-on. You care enough, not only care enough to do the research, but care enough to make sure that, you're saying, okay, what is it that you need? What do you need it for? And let's go ahead and figure out how we can go, get that information and get you that money, that funding that you need for your business. Man, Colin, honestly, we greatly appreciate you being here, because there are so many people that don't know this information, that have a new LLC, they're trying to get funding, that they're not sure what's true, what's not true, and literally you're just giving that information. And this is so helpful for so many people on a lot of different levels, because a lot of people are in different stages within their business, and some people, they honestly need that funding, but they don't know where to get that from. And the fact that you just gave us that information, man, that's a huge time saver for a lot of people. Well, of course, before we get out of here, are there any final tips that you want to go ahead and give people for those that have aspirations to get business funding in the future?
Yeah, the big thing is set up a compliant LLC. Don't put capital, real estate investments, cannabis, crypto, anything like that. It's good to put your name and marketing, enterprises, ventures, consulting, because especially if you don't even know what industry you want to get into, why not keep it broad and neutral? That way you can pivot every which way when you do decide, or if you end up changing industries, right? And it's going to make you look compliant to the banks. One of the best codes you can use, right, is going to be 541611. It's consulting and management. And the reason why it's so good is because everybody does consulting, whether you're a roofing business, etc. Everybody can say that they do some form of consulting on the side of whatever their original business is. And it appears a lot more attractive to the banks rather than putting yourself down as trucking or, construction. A lot of people don't know that certain industries are capped to how much funding they can get. We have clients that have 800 plus credit scores and they apply and they only get 3,000 from Chase because they're construction, because it's a risky industry.
Yeah.
And then we have people with 720 credit scores that are consulting and management and they get a $50,000 card. So be careful with your industry and how you structure your company. That's going to change everything for you. And then the next big piece is the personal credit. Optimize your personal credit profile to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
Really get your utilization down to 10%, remove all derogatories. And then the smart thing you can do is build relationships. A lot of my clients, they come to me, they've only got like 1 or 2 cards, right? And what I'll typically recommend to them, depending how much funding they need, is to get the amount of funding they need with as few approvals as possible. If they need 100,000, we'll try to get it all on a single approval, like $100,000 no documentation business line of credit. And then what I recommend is to do a mini round of personal funding. We get 3 to 4 personal credit cards so we can establish relationships with banks, so we can set ourselves up for more funding in the future. And what we'll do is we'll get 1 personal Chase, 1 personal Amex, 1 personal Bank of America, and 1 personal US Bank. Now we've got 4 brand new banking relationships, and 6 months from now, maybe we use the whole 100K, we need more funding. Yeah. We have relationships with these 4 banks, and they're not only more likely to approve us, but they're going to grant us higher limits. So optimize your personal credit profile, build relationships with banks so you can access more funding.
I hope you guys are not just watching, you're taking notes. Now you got the strategy, now you got the game plan, now you got the play, and now you just got to put action behind all of this. Colin, listen, we thank you so much for your time today. We greatly appreciate it. And listen, man, we got to have you back in the future, but we most definitely appreciate your time today.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you having me.
All right. Thank you so much.